morning, traders. Welcome to the daily webinar. This webinar will be out on YouTube. It will also be on Shared Vision for those of you who are following me there. This morning, if you're following me on YouTube, this morning, what I'll do is I'll make a shorter version of that, which means I'll only do the majors here, some of the crosses on the pound and the euro. We will do the stocks and we will do the cryptos. Some of them I may not do. I'll do 3 or 4 of the major cryptos. For the rest of them, for all the other pairs we have, and we will add some more cryptos. If you want to see that second part of the video, please make sure you follow me on Shared Vision. I think I've shown that already. Just in case you don't know where that is or where to find me, go to Share Vision. Let me just make sure I get it. Sharevision.com. Let me bring it up for those of you who haven't seen it. You go to, by the way, is it showing up? It's on a different, it might not show up because it's on a different browser. So you go to sharevision.com, scroll down to it's a site where for financial, special only for financial things, videos and all of that. So you can scroll down to where they have channels and you will see ProWave Hedge, that's the top channel. And
it's not showing,
it wouldn't show up because it's on a different browser. So it wouldn't show up here actually. But you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah, just the charts.
Yeah, you wouldn't see it. It has to be in the same browser for you to see it. It's 2 different browsers. It wouldn't show same at the same time. For some reason that happens. I've seen that happen before. If it's a file, it's sure, but if it's in a different browser, for some reason, it doesn't show up. Anyway, no problem. So let's go. They can find it. The YouTube people can find it. I don't think that's a problem. So I would also be like I promised last week, I'll post some video and I'll do some live session there. So I can tell you I did fulfill my promise. I did do a live session there. The funny thing is because they're a totally new platform, it didn't work, right? It recorded, but it didn't show up. So they're looking into it. I've told them about it and they're looking into it. It's maybe because I am new to the platform as well. I don't know, but finally we'll solve that issue. And you will get more videos there. So this week, I think maybe from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll try to put more videos there for you guys. Right. So, and those will be interesting videos. So follow me there. Don't have some patience. Eventually, that will be a long-term process. So you can follow me there. Will be a lot of trade setups I'll be posting there as well. So let's go. Let's start. Dollar index. I hope all of you had a great weekend, by the way, all my followers, and please share the videos. Please make sure you share the videos because there's still a lot of people who haven't seen this method and how it works. I promise you they will like it the way you like it. So let's share it. So dollar index, let's go back to the big picture. On the 4-hour, we're still in the consolidation. If you remember the start of this year, I told you we're probably going to be stuck here for a very long time. Seems like it's much longer than I thought it's going to be. Because instead of going back up to the top, we're still stuck in this sideways move. See this? We're still stuck in this sideways move. And every time you see some sharp moves like this, you're thinking, well, so either you're making a very complex pattern there with a lot of sharp waves like this one. Eventually, they all add up to a pattern, right? You could figure out it once you go along. So this one, we were expecting it to drop. I was expecting it to drop because we were thinking that this here was we were looking at this as a possible expanding flat. This would have dropped here and then go back up. Well, that didn't happen. It did drop. But the way it dropped doesn't tell me like if it is going to go back up because this piece seems to be more corrective. I wouldn't be surprised if this continued to go down somewhere here, go back up. We're stuck here for a sideways before we do this. So this might be a long drawn out correction before we go back up. But the clue is you're going to get one of this up. So if you get an impulse and a flag, buy. So if this makes a flag here, this makes a flag here for us, we will go with the buy setup. All buys are short term, right? Because this one would, if you're still in this correction, it could only come here and come back down. It could break up and then come back down. So we will still take buy setups as long as we think that there's potential of good risk to reward trades. If you follow me in Share Vision, I would post some of these setups there. The trades we're actually taking or trading, I'll post some of them there. Let's go. Silver. Silver actually is coming down as we expected. It's not coming down the way we expected. So I can tell you, if you see this here, you might wonder to know what that is. We sold it and then we closed it and we sold it earlier. We sold it somewhere here, I think, and we got tagged. It went sideways. We closed the trade. It dropped a little lower and the entry came under this low. right? So the entry under that low, I think, was a news one. We were looking for some news on whichever, I think was Friday. Yeah, non-farm payroll, it didn't trigger because it actually went up first. So we didn't get, I think, 1 or 2 trades triggered. There wasn't any movement that actually was serious. 1 or 2 trades triggered, and we end up with some small break even, most likely small profit or break even, depends on whether you're quick enough to take out the profit. If not, it turned out a break even trade, which is not bad either, right? Because they didn't move very far. So we're still going sideways. There's still a chance that you can look at this now 2 ways, right? You can look at this as the low and we're trying to go up, or you can look at this as a bigger flat, an expanding flat trying to come down. And if you're wondering, well, how would you know which one is it? Is it an expanding flat? Can we look at this as all the correction? This is the low, we're going up. Well, this will become a correction. Now, what if that is a correction? What do? You can put an entry order here. If that's a correction, you're going to go up. That's actually a buy setup, right? If that's not the case, then what you're going to find is that this is going to continue to drop, but you can't sell it here because you don't know for sure that this is an expanding flat and you don't have a sell setup there. So if you're going to sell this, the only way you can sell it is after it breaks the slope, which means, or if you actually get a flag, well, if you get a big flag in here, it's also useless. You're making a bigger correction, right? So by rule, you wanted to break this low, make a flag, and then sell. Here is the problem. This is the maximum we're expecting it to go. Well, it could go lower, but to fulfill the criteria that we wanted to do, that is break this low. This is all they need to do. So if you get a sell set up here, you'll have to really be careful. The sell is a no-good trade. Let it fall, let it break the low, and on the way up, that's the trade we want, right? So if this turns, if this drop here and turn, we want that trade to the way up. But what if it actually drops and start to consolidate? What if it drops like this and make a flag? Well, we're going to sell. We're going to continue to sell this until it reverses, make flag, and start to go the upside. So should you sell this one here? No, you shouldn't, because this risk, you have to put a stop here, you have to put an entry somewhere here, and the risk to reward is no good, right? You would have to do it if you go to 1 hour and you look at a trade, you would have to put the entry, I don't know, somewhere under the lowest stop above this stop, and the risk to reward from where it can turn is no good. So sell something else. The idea is when you see these patterns and you know it can go, but you don't have a good risk to reward in this trade, just pick another pair. Gold, for example, was a break-even one. It actually dropped. I didn't think the goal was, it spiked up first. We didn't get tagged in. We didn't put the entry order. We pull off the entry order after it went up. So, by the way, that is for those who understand how we trade. I still think this thing has to go up because this pattern looks very good. Now, there's a good chance that if it stays here longer, if we stay in this zone longer, right? See this piece here? If you stay in that correction for a longer period of time, then what happens is this whole correction become much bigger, right? This become a corrective part. You get a move up there, you get another sharp move down. See all the sharp moves are downwards, and then you go, right? So this would be something like a W, X, Y, X, Z, and then you go. It's just making an extension of the pattern that you have. So if it stays here longer like this, if it stays here longer and it's already long enough, I believe we will look at this more as a corrective structure, not the impulse, not this impulse to the upside, but as a correction to the upside. It will still go up. The chances are we'll come back down, go back up, and then come down. So this will become a big, long, drawn-out correction in the middle. Nothing's wrong with that. The correction can stay for as long as possible. So if you're going to get buys now, you'd have to be careful. And we do have a buy setup forming right now, right? You can see that this is actually forming a buy setup. The only way I will not be buying this is if it comes back too low. If it comes all the way to the low here, then it becomes a flat for one more drop. Again, if you're confused by this, and I think traders who are new to wave analysis might get confused by this, because it's a very simple principle in wave analysis. Everything goes up, down, up. The problem is we're always trying to find the up move by looking at what's happening in here. And what is happening in there is very, very complex. That's the problem. And what we are doing right now is trying to figure out in the middle. We're trying to figure out the middle. The middle can be a simple pattern as a 1, 2, 3, or a very complex pattern in here before it goes. So every time you think you've got a simple pattern that is completed, You take the trades. It's, in terms of trading, it's not a problem, but sometimes it becomes more complicated. So what I'm looking at is a smaller inner part, which could go up. But if it comes lower, it will still go up, but now it's not a buy setup. It's a flag for the downside. So if I'm going to buy this, it has to remain a flag. So if it stays a flag, which means there's a buy setup right now on it, but that could change before the day is up and it becomes a sell. We will not be selling this move down. We'll let this move go back up, makes a flat, and then sell. So if it breaks now, it's a buy, but if it comes lower and then go back up, it's not a buy. See, that's the only difference. So let's go. We're looking for a buy setup here. We're still in the consolidation, right? I'm not going to show you the bigger consolidations. Again, please go back and look at my first webinar for this year. All the bigger patterns were shown there. This one, we were thinking about the same thing. It has to go back to the top, but then it, after a 1, 2, 3, but then it made another flag and it dropped, and it could make another flag and drop, but it's still going to go back up. This is still correction. So now you look for a buy setup, and it's either going to be from here, right? It could be from here to the top there, or it could make some more corrections downwards and then go back up. We're in this flat. We're in two big flats here. You could see both of them. This is the bigger one. This here is the bigger one for downside. And right now we're in this one to come down here, go back, and then come down. So pretty easy. Euro, sideways, and we're still in the sideways consolidation. And I believe we might stay here longer than I was planning for. So you can take out that sell. It's not valid. We're going to move this here. This looks very much like a bigger flat form there, right? This, if you look at this piece, this looks more like a bigger flat. We didn't break that top. So if this turns out to be a bigger flat here in this piece, I wouldn't be surprised if this actually comes here and go back up and then come down. It will still come down. This piece is very sharp. This one could be very sharp. They could go back up there, come back here, and still go back up, because this would be more of a flat part here, right? So we will still get more to the upside. Let's see. It's becoming very, very complex. So if you look at the pieces in here, you've got this move up, you've got that moves down, this one up, this down, this up. This looks like a flat here by itself. Up there, this should come back down for this one, go back up, maybe even come back down, go back up, and then drop. So you can be here for a long time. Can it drop right now? Well, depends. If you relook at this slightly different, then yes, that's possible. We will look at that differently. If we get a flag, we'll sell. If you get a flag like this, go for the trade, right? If you get a flag like this, go for the trade back to the low, put it to positive. If it's a break-even trade, no problem. If it drops through the bottom, you get a good trade. Now, every once in a while, this is all the flat you have. And this one was just a complex impulse to the upside, 1, 2, 3, and then it drops through. So the sell, if you get a flag, is a good idea. Remember that any sell in here is a good idea. We already broke the stop. So anytime you get a sell setup, take it. If there's going to be a big surprise, it's going to be with a big drop to the downside. Can it still continue to go up? I don't know, come back here and still go back up to the top there. We will see all of these moves, right? It's still in the sideways move. The big trade is to the downside. So we go with the sells every time. And worst case, you try to get break even. Pound dollar. Yep, that was a buy. I think this was the only one you probably could have got a little profit from last week that we did, because we saw this running flat and we put this for the buy. And you actually are getting another buy setup here. Short term. It's pretty short. I don't think they're going to go very far. Look at the past. You will see all the flags they went, but you know, they're very short term. They didn't go very far. Look at the way this go up. So if you want to take that trade, take it. It's going to go up. I think we're going to pull this. This might become a running flat somewhere in the future. I don't think it belongs to any of this. This might be something of a running flat in the future. We're still going up. And the only question you'd have is whether that is actually this piece or whether we're totally going up, right? Take all the buys. It's a buy setup, take it. Let's see how far that takes us. Worst case is you're going to get 5-10 pips out of it. You're not going to get the trade you're looking for. And Aussie. Aussie is a buy. We broke the low. We wanted Aussie to go down more, and I think it should go down more, but the correction is not over. Last week, we looked at the possibility of this making a running flat. I think that was after the weekly outlook, which is in our room when we saw this coming down sharp and started to go back. We're like, it's still a correction for downside. That has not changed. It's probably going to come from here now. So we will see this go up back some more here. It's a 1, 2, 3, and it could still come down because all of this is consolidation in this. Right, so the downside is still likely, except now you're going to go up within the flat. So if you were selling last week, that was a good idea. So if we were at the top there, if you were selling, you probably got this first trade. If not, this up one wasn't a buy. We did not buy that. The next sell you probably could have got if you were paying attention was here. If you sold this, that's break even. Right. So right now, if we get any buy setup, we'll take it. I think we can wait for a buy setup because now that this possibility is open up for a running flat. The upside is possible. Let's see if we get a flag enough that we can buy. New Zealand, probably stay out of this. The trade you actually want from this is the upside. Right now it's a sell setup, but the trade you actually want is to the upside. We don't have a buy setup here. Yen, definitely go for the buy. Absolutely going for the buy. It might not be ready as yet, so you have to be very careful with the buy setup. And we're expecting it to break this. So the upside is it's consolidating very nice, just making a bigger consolidation. Is the buy ready? I don't think so. I believe we might be stuck with this piece. Right, kind of a 1, 2, 3. Go back up like this. It could even break out and drop again before it goes. But if you get a buy setup here and you want to take the risk for this piece for a break-even trade, which means if it doesn't go, you take break-even, that is a trade we can handle. If it's coming down, probably ignore the sells, unless you get a perfect sell setup with good risk to reward in it. CAD, definitely a sell. I think this was the one we got break-even and the sell with, and it starts to come back down. We assume it's going to still do that. You've got another sell setup forming here. This should be an easy one. There's no news event to spoil it. So that's definitely a sell. Where would this take us? Well, it seems like we're heading back for the low, something we assumed earlier. It's coming back to retest this low, after which we should go up. So we're going to look at this as a 1, 2, 3 wave structure for upside. These are smaller corrections in the middle. You probably could take this was it, or you'd probably get another deep correction here, drop here, and then go. But it's a sell setup, and it's a sell for a flat for the upside, right? So once we get to this level, we're expecting it to go back up. Take the 1 hour sells. You have a perfect 1 hour sell here today, right? You don't want anything better than this. That's a perfect sell setup. Swiss, sorry. Swiss, it didn't go anywhere. We're looking for the sell. And I think this might turn out to be a running flat here. So we will get this sell, but not exactly now. There's a good chance that this will probably be a running flat and we go back up. If this starts to consolidate, we'll sell it. So it's either they go back sharp to the top right now, go back to the top sharp and then drop, or they actually consolidate here and we will sell. We're looking for the sell, right? The sell is the one you want. We're not looking for a buy in this. If you remember Friday, we were trying to sell CAD and we were trying to sell Swiss, but we were buying yen. Right? The same thing remained. I believe yen will just stay in the consolidation. It's not going to go up, but it will be in the consolidation. I do believe this has to drop because we're expecting it to drop to this level. It's coming down very slow, which is typical when they're in a consolidation. I think you can watch this piece. You can watch, oh, this whole piece is kind of moving very slow. I'm still, with this big flat in here, I'm still wondering whether, especially if you make another one here and drop, whether this would still be the impulse down or whether that might be part of a bigger consolidation, but we wouldn't know that as yet. We'll eventually figure out that one, right? So let's go to the 1 hour. Let's look for the sell setup. It's a buy, but short term, very short term. If you get a flag here, the short term buy, so I'm ignoring it, which means if you get a flag here, they'll probably break this top. After which you get 1, 2, 3, and then come down. But if it stays and consolidate there, that's a perfect sell setup. Go for it. I'll do some of the Euro pairs, the ones that are very good looking. So Euro pound was going up, but we didn't want the buy, which is a good idea. You want the sell. Yep, you can actually make an argument for a contracting flat here. 1, 2, 3, 1. It could still go back one more, depends on how you look at it. You can either go like this, 1, 2, 3. That's it. We're dropping. Go for the sell setup. Any flag you get or a break of the low. You can make an argument that it's more complex than that. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We go back and retest the top and then drop. So don't keep your stops above here. For that simple reason, if you get into the trade at the bottom, don't keep your stops above there. Keep your stop higher at this level. How far will this drop? We're breaking through this long, drawn out running flat here. And I believe now it's confirming a running flat if you're falling for a long time. So this drop could be huge. Keep your eyes on it. It's a good trade. I think the next one we probably want to, I'll do all the Euro pairs and then we'll go from there, right? Euros, nothing is yet here. It's consolidating here. It might be a buy setup, but it's not ready. You don't have any buy, you don't have any sell setup on the 1 hour especially. If you want to treat it like an expanding or running flat, depending on whether we break this low here, you can put an entry there, right? If it's coming down more, you need a flag, right? If this is going to drop more, you need a flag here for a sell. If it's reversing for this being an running or well, depending on whether you break the running flat at the moment, it's an upside, right? Which one? We don't know. We'll see. You're in New Zealand? Yep, it's a flat. We're going to go for the buy, right? So this was the top. This was the low. Let me just put them back again so you can see. This here was the top. This was the low. We broke the top. We're coming back down. We're going only for the buy. It could break or don't break the low. It doesn't matter to us anymore. You're going only for a buy setup. Now you don't have to buy above this top. We'll take this off because we're going for the buy. That was an entry order that you had early. We will try to get the buy from here going up. From here going up, we'll try to get a buy here. We want the turn, we want the flag, and we're going for the buy. Right? It's the buy. If it's going to go deeper, let it go. We don't have a sell setup. We're going for the buy only. EuroCAD. It went up, but it didn't get to the top. They're pulling back. And that is not changing anything except for the fact that this piece here is becoming more corrective. That's all. So even when you break the low, the upside still looks real, still looks possible. Because this is definitely becoming the most corrective part. So sell setup, if there were any, it probably would have to be from the top or the bottom here, definitely no sell. Can it still go back up? We will still keep an eye on that. See, it still looks possible to me that if they break this low, you can go back up. Right? This line itself will be irrelevant. I'll just keep it for here for the timing, but it's irrelevant to the whole structure because these are separate parts, right? This is a 1, 2, 3 big up move. It can come as all the way to this low and still go back up. Euro Swiss. Okay. It's going up really fast. Take this out. This one is actually from here. I don't know why it's still on. But the 4 hour. We might be starting an up move. For starting an up move, we can buy. The only thing we'd have to watch is where do we put this deep pullback here? Are we going to get it here and then go? That makes sense. Let's go into 1 hour and see if we're going to get a deep pullback at that point. You could actually get this here now and drop. Get something like this and drop and then go right back up because then we look at this as a running flat. See? That would be more of a running flat, which means one more up is possible. There's a sell setup short term, and then there's a buy setup to come. Euro yen. Okay, I don't know, just stay away from this for now. We're expecting it to eventually go up, but it doesn't look like this is the one that will go up. Right, this one is going really slow. If you bought it last week, you probably got a break even or two because it didn't go anywhere. Every time you buy, you will end up at a break-even trade. So guys, I'll skip all of the rest. If you want to see the rest of this, I'll do them later on in Share Vision, which would be sometime in a couple hours from now, most likely closer to the afternoon. Let's look at some of these very quick. Oil, upside, and we could go all the way back to the top here. We could get back all the way to the top. It will still be a flat, which means it's a B part of the flat, which means it's going to be a regular flat or a running flat, depending on where we break this. If you get buy setups here, go for it. If you get sell setups, go for it. because we don't know if this is going to work its way up to the top, then come back and then go, or it's going to come back from here and go. The only difference with those two is whether it's a running flat or expanding flat. Right now, we really don't have either. We don't have a buy or we don't have a sell setup. You could make an argument more for a buy setup if you look at this as a flat. You could make an argument more for a buy setup. I'll buy it only above the top. Right, only above the top, it's a buy, and it's not a sell setup as yet. UK oil. This could be closer to a sell setup, but it's the same structure. If you look at it, you could make an argument for an expanding flat here and an upside there, buy above the top. And definitely don't sell here until they give you a bigger consolidation like this. Then we'll sell. Natural gas. Okay, this did spike up. Let's see where we are. Nothing. Look for a sell setup actually coming down from there, because it's not an upside as yet. So there's a good chance that this could start to give you a sell setup. Right now it's just a 15 minutes buy. See, a 15 minutes buy. Let it come back here. See if you get a trade towards there and then go. But don't set it like this. You have to wait for it to come down. We'll make a flag and then sell. US 30. It's coming down, but it's not coming down as aggressive as we'd like it to do. Take this off. You're probably making a big running flat here. We'll end up with something that is a very big running flat in this area here. And then downside. So all these sells here we started with from this point or from this point, they became break-even trades. And take the break-even. If it's not going, take the break-even. There's a good chance we'll still see this come down from somewhere at the top here. Right? Let's see if we get a sell set up. S&P 500. Also consolidating. This was a perfect sell. Wait for this to give you a big flat here, and then we'll get another sell setup. I think this one was this sell. You've got to break even out of that. Wait some more. It's making a big correction here, so we'll have to wait. PayPal. It will be a sell, but it's consolidating. Probably go back up there, make a flat, and then drop. And let's see, Amazon. It's falling, but now you have to be careful. It's coming down, not really falling. It's coming down, but now you have to be careful because it could be that you're making a more complex pattern here. Go back down like that. So if you're in the sell, just move your stops and stay with it. DAX. Drop, pull back up, drop, pull back up. You got to break even. We're still looking for a sell. Now you look for running flat, right? And a sell. It's still a sell. Take the break even, put the entry under the low. We're still looking for this sell. We do not have a buy setup, right? So we're still expecting this to drop. Take the break even. We set out on Friday. Take the break even, put it lower, go for the trade. Let's see, Aussie 200, nothing here. It's coming down, but you don't have anything. You have to wait for this to consolidate and then drop. Nifty, wait for flags, buy. Go into one or yep. It's like it probably make a nice either contracting flat or a running flat here. It's a buy setup. Go for it. You're getting a smaller flag there to buy into. Tesla is coming down, so we'll have to wait and see how far it goes. It means this is not this impulse. This is probably making a bigger correction, and you'll end up with a much more complex pattern on Tesla. We'll come to the complex pattern later on. This is coming down and can retest the low. And this. Sideways. There will be a buy setup, but it's not ready. Let's go. Bitcoin. Yep. If you ask for it, it came down. So I'll probably remind people about Bitcoin, especially those traders who are trading Bitcoin, what we were talking about and how the magic of wave analysis works. Right? Break the top, come down back. So go on my YouTube videos and watch this date. I think it was this date here, somewhere in October, right? Early October, when I said, well, watch the top. Once you break that top, you're coming back. And that's how it works, right? That's just the way patterns behave. We're coming down, and now you got to be careful because at any time this thing could start to go up, we can literally say that's a running flat. We're only hoping that it comes a little lower, but this would probably be equal to this one. that it could be equal. It doesn't have to be equal, but that they could be equal. And if they're going to be equal, it could be larger. It's going to come back to about this level. Now, it doesn't have to do that. At the moment where it is, it's qualified enough to be, right, to go back up. But right now, it's going on pretty good. We haven't had any divergence in the very last piece, so there might be another drop. Let's see. You could probably go for another drop. I could see this drop again. This one fell. This bigger one fall. So you probably get another drop here today. Maybe this week, if not today. Can it go longer sideways before that happens? Absolutely. Right. So this can go on here for a while. Maybe even a little higher and then come back. Right now it's downside. Ethereum downside, same. I think all of them have downside patterns. XRP, we discussed this in details in our room. It's looked like they're going to drop some more. 1 second, guys. XRP look like it's going to drop some more. This might be the most interesting one for you. I don't think that is the flat because this is still in the correction zone and we're still going sideways, right? So I'll take this out. And this is still going sideways, but it's in the correction zone, right? So you kind of drop here, you made a flat, you drop here, you make a flat, you drop here. You probably go back up like this, make a bigger flat here, and then drop, right? More like this, and then drop. So there's one more drop. Where would it take you? Let's see here. So this is what we're expecting. Two ways we look at this. Take this out. Let me take this out just so you see, right? If this is all the correction, right? Let's assume that this here is all the correction. Then this could drop, go back here, and then come and break the low. Somewhere in here, you want to start to look for buy setup somewhere in this area because the next big move is to the upside after that, just like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin probably have about one more drop and then upside. Here's the thing, Bitcoin will break the top. This one is not going to break the top. This one is coming back within this one here. So if you get a buy somewhere in here, you're heading to break this top only. Not necessarily this one. It could go a little higher, but not necessarily this one, because I don't think this is the correction. I think that is part of the correction. So I expect this to make a flat here, like 1, 2, 3, come back here and then go. Something like this. And then go. A much bigger correction. But what if it takes off? Good for you. I'm wrong and you're making money. So somewhere in here now, you want to look for your buy setup. Somewhere between 70 and 40, 70 and 50. It drops. We have a plan, right? We already discussed this on Friday. We'll talk about it again. Start looking for your buy setups on this one. ADA. I don't know. This one is coming down. You could make an argument that this was all the correction here. I don't think it is, but you can make an argument for that. It's coming lower. Let's see where it's heading for. Daily. Well, it's just coming down. Eventually, it's going to start to go back up from some point. So just keep an eye on it. It's just a big corrective structure coming down. It's not a big impulse to the downside. And probably all the rest of the same. So what I'm going to do is I would stop here. I've cut the webinar short here. I wanted to stay short. I would do updates on a lot of these. I will add some more cryptos here and take out some, and there will be a separate crypto webinar on Shared Vision today. There'll probably be a second part of the Forex webinar as well there. So there are going to be about 2 or 3 more videos on Shared Vision today. Please follow me there, get the like-ins. For my group, I will close for the webinar process. You guys join back, and I would see all of you later because I'm leaving now. I'll be back later, right? As soon as I'm back, I'll jump in the room. Take care. Trade with care. Thank you. Bye-bye.